What's happening, and welcome back to another video. This one's going to be on the pyramid of importance for fat loss. I've seen a few other people do similar sorts of videos to this, but see, to be honest, they're all fucking wrong apart from me, so just listen to me. Nah, I'm only joking. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Everyone has things that they prioritise on top of other things instead of other things and all around the place. But yeah, I wanted to give my own take on it and give the things that I think are most important, because when people are losing fat, I feel like a lot of people prioritise the wrong things and focus on one thing before they've got the other thing that's more important than that one thing. You know what I'm trying to say here? Basically, they haven't got their priorities in order, and I'm going to give you boom, boom, boom. This is most important. This is next important. Bang, bang, boom, wallop. You know what I mean, right? So, pyramid of importance for fat loss. Let's jump into it. And as always, if you're not already subscribed to me, I would really appreciate it if you just like whack that subscribe button, because we're on the road to 3K now, and like, yeah, it would be cool if we got there. But if you don't want to subscribe at the same time, then enjoy the video. Right, so the first thing on this pyramid of importance is a calorie deficit. Now, this is a pyramid of importance for fat loss, not for general health, not for optimized performance, not for anything apart from fat loss. I'm strictly talking about fat loss here. So if you want to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Far too many people think that a calorie deficit is a type of diet or something that some people like to do and other people don't like to do. Indirectly or directly, anyone in the history of the entire world that has ever lost fat has done so by being in a calorie deficit. So any diet that you see people doing, keto, vegan, low carb, low fat, literally anything that results in fat loss is due to the creation of a calorie deficit. Like even when people start exercising loads more, they'll start walking or they'll start running, they're creating a calorie deficit by burning more calories, whether they know it or not. That's why I hate people that say like, oh, you shouldn't do a calorie deficit. It's not the right way to do it. It is literally the only way to do it. It's the laws of thermodynamics. So if you're someone that wants to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit no matter what diet you do. If you focus on it or if you don't focus on it, it has to happen if you want to lose fat. Right, so now you know that you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat. You're probably wondering what, well actually you're probably not wondering because it says it right there. So the second most important thing in my opinion is enjoyment. Far too many people get caught up in the minor details, how they can optimize the full process, what's the best foods to eat, what's the best exercises to do to lose the fat in the best way possible, and they completely forget about enjoyment. Fat loss shouldn't be something that makes you absolutely hate your life. It should be something that fits in with your life instead of taking over, and you need to be able to enjoy the exercise you're doing, enjoy the food that you're eating in order to do it consistently and actually get results. Don't try and do stuff that you don't enjoy just because you've seen someone else doing it, because it's probably not going to work for you, and there's a million and one ways to get the same result. So you don't have to copy someone else's methods. You can create your own if you stick to these principles, and I'm going to explain how you can do it. So yeah, enjoyment is the second most important thing, and I think it's one of the most overlooked thing by most people, because there's a lot of coaches and stuff who like live their life by just looking at studies. What's the most optimal way to do this? What's the best way to gain the most muscle here and lose the most fat? And they just completely forget that people need to enjoy what they're doing in order to do it consistently, and that's how you get results. Like, you don't have to punish yourself when you're losing fat. You don't have to eat shitty foods that you don't like. You don't have to do exercise that you literally hate and makes your life a misery. You can do stuff that you enjoy as long as you stick to the basic principles, and you can still lose fat. Happy days. Right, so next up we'll have sleep, and I actually did have sleep higher up in the pyramid, meaning that it would be less important, but then I sort of re-evaluated my decision, because when I don't get enough sleep, at least 7 to 9 hours, I literally can't stick to my calories the next day, which means I can't lose fat. And there's actually a scientific reason for this. So basically, your body has two hormones, one called ghrelin and one called leptin. Ghrelin is the hormone that you don't like. It's the one that tells you that you're hungry and you need to eat. Leptin is the hormone that tells you that you're full and you should stop eating. When you don't get enough sleep each night, 7 to 9 hours, your body produces more of the hormone called ghrelin and less of the hormone called leptin. So you're literally more hungry and you get less full. So you can eat and eat and eat, and you particularly have bad cravings for foods like sugary foods that are really easy to overeat on. Obviously, there's nothing bad with eating sugary foods, but when you eat them, you just want to eat more, and you're more likely to go over your calories on that given day. So your sleep is so important. And the way I think about it as well is like, sleep is when you rest, repair and grow. So when you don't give your body enough sleep in that night, your body wakes up the next day and is pissed off. It's like, fuck you, you didn't give me enough sleep, so I'm just going to seek comfort all day. You're probably not going to be in the mood to exercise. You're probably going to be in shit mood in general, and you're just going to want to eat shit all day and probably go over your calories. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to stick to your calories with not enough sleep, so with below 7 hours sleep, but realistically, I think the best thing to do is get 7 to 9 hours sleep, and it helps out massively. Like, a lot of people are asking what supplements they can take and what's the best exercise to do, and they're not getting 7 to 9 hours. they're not getting 7 to 9 hours sleep. I'm nearly knocking this whiteboard over. Yeah, so sleep is so important. Right, so next up in the pyramid we have NEAT. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, but you literally don't need to know that. All you need to know is NEAT is any calories that you burn that aren't directly from exercise. Now the reason that this is so important, and I've actually put it below cardio, meaning that it's more important than cardio, is because when you start eating in a calorie deficit, you tend to want to move less because you'll have less energy. So this can actually be, what's the word I'm looking for, like counteractive to eating less food because you're burning less food as a result. But if you make a conscious effort to get your NEAT up by going for walks, taking the lift instead of the stairs, just trying to move as much as possible, even parking far away from the shop, all the little things add up so you're moving more, because many people, when they start eating in a deficit, they do move less, so they're actually burning less calories. And that's one of the main counter arguments when people say that you should track your calories and eat in a deficit. They're all like, oh, when you eat in a deficit, you're going to burn less calories. Not if you get your NEAT up. Make a conscious effort to get your steps up. A good way is to get like a smartwatch, or even you can track it on your phone. Aim to get 10,000 steps each day and you're going to be 100%, because I don't even know what else I have to say about NEAT. What was I saying because about there? Yeah, NEAT's pretty fucking important. Get your NEAT up, get your steps up, burn calories while eating less calories. Happy fucking days. Right, so next up in the pyramid we have protein. Now the reason that protein is so important strictly from a fat loss perspective, everyone knows that it helps you with muscle development, but strictly from fat loss, is the most satiating macronutrient. I'm nearly sure that's the right word, but this basically means that it helps keeps you full for longer. So out of the 3 macronutrients, protein will help keep you the most full. So if you eat 30 to 40 grams of protein with each meal, you're going to be less hungry while you're eating in a deficit, and this is so important. Now I don't have it written down here as well, but what sort of falls into this category as well is food quality and low calorie, high volume foods that are going to help keep you satiated as well. I have a full video on volume eating, which you can watch, which tells you all about volume eating and how to feel full while you're in a deficit. But yeah, protein and food quality sort of fall into the same category of importance. Like, obviously it's good to be flexible with your diet, but you want to prioritize quality foods, proteins, to help keep you full while you're eating less, because that's one of the main counter arguments as well. Everyone's like, oh, if you're tracking your calories, like you're just eating sugar all the time. Like, you're literally not. You sort of figure out when you start tracking your calories what's a good deal and what's a bad deal. So you could have this massive salad with a lean source of protein and stuff that's going to keep you full for hours for 400 calories, or you could have a chocolate bar for 400 calories. And if you're pretty hungry and you only have 800 calories left for the day, you're going to take the better deal basically. So when people say like, oh, don't track your calories because not all calories are equal, when you start tracking your calories, you actually start to pay attention to food quality. You start to eat more protein, and indirectly your diet actually becomes better without even having to focus on food quality. So yeah, protein and food quality sort of fall into the same category. They're really important for staying full while you're in a deficit. Now, the reason why I don't have fats and carbs here is because they literally don't matter in terms of fat loss. All the studies and meta-analysis done show that higher fat or higher carb in terms of fat loss, as long as calories and protein are equated, it makes zero fucking difference. So it's going to be down to personal preference if you want to have more carbs or more fats, but there's not one that's better than another, and just do whatever one suits you. Right, so next up in the pyramid we have, what did I do with my hands there? Next up in the pyramid we have, I didn't even realize my hands move so much. That's fucking weird, isn't it? Why did I do that? Anyway, next up in the pyramid we'll have cardio. Now, when most people think cardio, when most people think fat loss, they put cardio somewhere down here as one of the most important things that you can do. Now, what you need to remember is cardio is massively important for your heart health, your cardiovascular health, and it's just really good in general. But strictly from fat loss, not health, cardio isn't really that important, and it should be up here, not down here. Now, the reason for this is, like I said, when you start eating less, you also want to move less. So when you start eating more, you want to move more. So when people just focus on cardio without focusing on their calorie deficit, without focusing on their NEAT, they're actually going to burn less calories. Because think about it, you go from doing nothing to doing like 20-30 minutes of cardio a day. As a direct result of doing that 20 to 30 minutes of cardio where you might eat 200-300 calories, some people are actually eating 400 extra calories and moving less throughout the day. So they're actually putting themselves into more of a calorie surplus instead of a deficit. So cardio is extremely important for your health, as I mentioned before. It can be used as a tool to help you burn calories if you're aware of your non-exercise activity thermogenesis and the calories that you're consuming. Cardio can help you burn calories on top of that, but if you just focus on your cardio without your NEAT and your calorie deficit, you're actually going to end up burning less calories throughout the day when you look at the bigger picture, when you look at the amount of food that you're consuming. So yeah, cardio is a really important one, but it's not important. It's useless for fat loss without firstly focusing on your calories and then your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And then on top of that, if you want to do cardio, you can throw it in. But far too many people try and throw in cardio at the start, especially people that have been doing absolutely no exercise at all. They'll try and throw in cardio and it just doesn't work. Right, so I've literally just realized that I've nearly finished this video and I forgot like one of the major components. Resistance training, I can't believe that I forgot to throw that in, but the reason that it's important for fat loss and probably more important than cardio is because when you want to lose fat, you're not just looking to lose fat, you're looking to look better and look more aesthetically pleasing. Now, whether people like it or not, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look aesthetically pleasing. I don't agree with getting absolutely and completely obsessed and wanting to look like magazine models, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to look better. And by doing resistance training, I have a full video on how to build muscle. It was one of my first videos, so if you haven't watched that, check it out. I think I have a bald head and stuff in it unless I'm wearing a hat, but yeah, that'll be pretty funny. But yeah, so resistance training is going to help you build muscle, so you're gonna look better while losing fat. So say if you just lose fat without doing any resistance training, say for example with loads of cardio, yes, you'll lose fat, but you'll just look sort of slim and you'll look sort of fat. But if you do some resistance training while on a calorie deficit, you're going to look good. It's going to help you look massively better. It's also going to boost your metabolic rate, which is going to enable you to eat more calories and still be in a deficit. But that's sort of in the long run. It's going to be done over years. It's not like you're going to start resistance training and then you're just going to be able to eat loads more calories straight away. But over the years, as you build muscle, you're going to boost your metabolic rate, and it's also going to help you look better. Like, if you want to lose fat to look better, please implement resistance training and just don't do loads of cardio. So far we'll have a calorie deficit, and then enjoyment, sleep, non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, protein, resistance training, then cardio, and finally the last one is method. So the method is the method in which you do to create the fat loss process. That was absolutely awful use of English, but let's explain. Like, my method would be tracking my calories, because I think tracking calories is the most accurate way to know exactly how much you're eating. Like, the principle of fat loss is you need to be in a calorie deficit. So if you can directly track your calories, it's the best way to do it, in my opinion. But am I biased towards tracking calories? Of course I am, because it's what's worked for me and it's what I've seen work for other people. If someone says that they don't have a biased opinion, they're either lying or else they're a weirdo. Everyone has bias towards one thing or another. Now, what I will say is, tracking calories is not the only way to do it. If you want to do a ketogenic diet, which means you cut out all carbs, cut out all bread, all pizza, stuff like that, like, I don't know why you'd want to do that. You can do that as a way of creating a calorie deficit. If you want to do intermittent fasting, you can do that. If you want to do vegan, you can do it. If you want to do low carb, low fat, if you want to just start training for a marathon to create a calorie deficit, you can do literally anything you want. Like, it's not like you have to do one way or another. That's why the method is the method is the least important thing. But there's lots of people that are so stuck in their ways that they think method is the most important thing. They think everyone has to be low carb, or they think people have to be carnivore, or they think people have to be vegan. Everyone thinks that people have to go to the extreme, have to do this or that, but the reality is, if you stick to the principles, you enjoy what you're doing, you get your sleep, it doesn't fucking matter what method you use. Like, you don't have to track your calories, you don't have to cut out carbs, you can find what works for you. It's genuinely up to you. So the method is literally the least important thing, but some people put the method down here. A lot of the time it's because they have something to sell you, a course on fasting, a course on being a vegan, a course on low carbs. Like, they have a hidden agenda on why they want people to think that their method is superior for fat loss, but there is no superior method for fat loss. Studies have concluded that the best diet for fat loss is the one that you can stick to. Whatever method you choose, it doesn't fucking matter. Just do the one that you enjoy the most and the one that you can do consistently. So lastly, we'll have consistency, and this runs up and down the layers. Like, you can do any of these things. You can do your resistance training, eat your protein, get your need up, get your sleep up. But if you don't do any of them consistently, you're not going to do the results. We live in an age where so many people just want quick fixes, and you have coaches telling people that they can get this 30-day six-pack transformation. It's just not going to happen. You need to do the little things over and over again. There's no quick fixes. You need to do everything consistency. You need to do everything consistently in order to get results. Like, I hate to be the one to break it to you, because like, I don't want to be like the bearer of bad news here, but lots of people have a hidden agenda and they just want to tell you that you can get results like that and you just have to cut out carbs from your diet, or you just have to go vegan or intermittent fasting. There is no fast way to do it. It is literally just doing the simple things over and over. There's no best way to do it. It comes down to consistency. So find what you enjoy, do that. This was the pyramid of fat loss. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I haven't left anything out, because I just threw it together quickly. I was like, fuck, I've been so busy trying to get my website and stuff set up that I haven't done a YouTube video, and I've seen people do this, so I was like, I want to do my own take on it. So I literally just done it quickly. As you can see, I left out resistance training at the start, but I added that in. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, and genuinely just let me know, like, because there could be things that I messed up or got in the wrong order. Like, I'm not always right, but I think that this is pretty bang on. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit a like, a share, or whatever does something good for me. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next week.